Welcome to another program in our series, Freethinking Forum. I'm Bill Weir, the producer and host, and it's a pleasure again, the third time, to have my friend Mike Johnson here.
Bill, thanks for having me back. I mean, yes, it's third time. I don't know, like on Saturday Night Live, they have these special awards, like if you get to be on the show 5 times.
Oh.
But I understand that I might be the first guest who's been on your program at least 3 times in the history of the program.
That's right. Yeah.
So
we got to buy a jacket, is that
a
right?
special jacket, right? Like the 3-timer jacket, or maybe we wait till we get to 5, and then I get a 5-time appearance jacket.
Okay.
If you want to make it green or blue or red, whatever, some wild color, or an official embroidered jacket that says Freethinking Forum with your host, Bill Weir, that would mean a lot
that's
to
an
me.
idea.
Some embroidery there. But thank you for having me back.
Well, my sweetheart is very accomplished in the arts,
Okay.
apparel arts.
Well, then you have her pick out something that you think I would like, and so when I get to the
What's your
5th
size?
show, I'm an extra large kind of guy. But in terms of a jacket, oh boy, I don't know. I'm up there, so we may have to go get it measured. I mean, if we're going to have an official jacket, I may have to go through some tailoring.
I want to hear an update on the recent FCC action. I understand there's something really important
Well,
that may have an effect on us.
yeah, not only may, Bill, it will. This has been going on for a while, okay? They've had these proposed, they call them the FCC proposed rulemakings, and I've sat on some, I actually have sat on the NTOA board, and I've actually had the opportunity to meet at the FCC a couple of times over the last several years in Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's a national?
Yeah, that's Federal Communications Commission. Yeah, and NTOA which stands for the National Association of Telecommunications Officers and Advisors, is also a national organization.
Good.
And I was a board member on that group. I'm now a board member on the Alliance for Community Media, which is a national board.
Yes,
So
they're officed here.
right. Well, their office for the business functions. Some of the main people are in Washington D.C. But yeah, their business functions are out of Minneapolis. That's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
What's this action that's?
well, it's not very good. But there were some wins and losses. Let's put it that way. The FCC has been. Basically, what, in a nutshell, is they've got within official franchise rules, because this is all part, like the Northwest suburbs, for instance, is part of a franchised area for cable.
Right.
So to make a long story short, to do the Reader's Digest version, large print edition, in order for a cable operator to be serving a cable signal within the Northwest suburbs, they have to pay a 5% franchise fee to the government in order to be, in the public right of way to send their signals across there.
Right.
And this franchise fee is only for video programming. It doesn't include the internet or telephony, the telephone service. And all of our funding comes from the video side. So there is no funding available to this organization from that 5% in order to pay for the operation. So if we were to receive internet revenue based on what, say, Comcast has in the area, we wouldn't be worried about it, right? Because internet revenue is their bread and butter. The video services, what's happening in the industry, you've heard of cord cutting, that type of thing. There's a lot of that going on.
What's that?
Cord cutting? It's the idea of people. I mean, that's just it's not like a physical cutting of the cord, because typically people still keep internet service, because in order to see other things, like if you have, say, Apple TV or Roku or any streaming device, you still need internet in your house in order to do that. Right. Well, Comcast and CenturyLink are big providers of that. So the bottom line is, for us, as more people stream things and less people have maybe traditional video services, then we have less revenue coming in order to support this organization. But on top of that, so that's like the cord cutting aspect of the thing, which really has nothing to do with the FCC, right? The FCC, that's more of a market thing. It's market driven. People go, hey, I can save money if I do this, if I get my video through a streaming box versus the traditional video, because we live in an on-demand world. where people want stuff now, all this old appointment viewing stuff, with the exception of sports, live sports, people still want to watch it live. People want to just see things when they want to see them on their schedule. But the FCC order really is saying that, okay, in addition to your franchise, they're basically saying that any in-kind, non-monetary provisions are now considered part of the franchise fee. So, for instance,
really? How can they change that?
Well, I will say this, as we speak, there is a group, there's a national group and people fighting this issue. Even though it's at the end of September of 2019, this became law. I mean, literally, it's the law of the land, but there is an effort to try to appeal this law,
to
possibly get it to state. Yeah. They've talked about moving to the 9th Circuit or the 10th Circuit. As we speak, that hasn't been decided, but I'm sure by the time people see this program, that it'll be in one of those circuits. I mean, it's, either 9th Circuit, 10th Circuit, or some other circuit.
Come on, we put this on this coming Sunday.
Well, there you go. Then we'll get a lot of people who can get out there. Anyway,
I want to rouse them to oppose this thing.
Well, we signed an agreement with Comcast. I mean, we're in more than halfway through our agreement with Comcast on our franchise. And part of the agreement says, well, say libraries, schools, and municipal buildings get free cable service, right? That was part of the agreement that we signed with the cable company.
Yeah.
Well, now the FCC is saying, well, no, the cable company can now charge us for that, for that service.
What?
Even though we have a signed agreement that says that's what they're going to give us. So consider me the messenger, so I'm not bringing the best of news, but so they can charge us if they want to. They don't have to charge us. So we're just waiting there. It's just a matter of time. We think we might get something in the mail that says we are now going to charge you. I think just in this system alone, there are so many. If you look at all the schools, the libraries, and the municipal buildings, there's over 150 cable connections out there. And up to this point, they have been free, but now...
But that's for how many cities? 9 cities?
Right. Yeah, you take the 150 divided by 9, but we're talking about a lot of schools and things. So they could charge us. They haven't come forward yet. I mean, again, like I said, this just became law recently, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen.
Well, what else is in this law?
Well, they can charge for instance, if a cable breaks or there needs to be maintenance on a cable, for instance, they can charge us for the cable that runs from our facility here to their facility across the street, or from another place we may go from one of the city buildings up to a cable head end building. So they can charge us for the maintenance of that. And right now, that's a big question mark. Well, what does that mean? What does that cost? Is it a major cable break where they're digging underground and you've got all kinds of technicians working on it for hours and hours? Is that thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars?
But there'd be no charge under the
Well, in the old system, there would be no charge, but there could be some type of charge for that. But there's two pluses that came out of this thing. I mean,
what are the pluses?
It's not, any of the things here are not retroactive. So could you imagine if the FCC said, well, all this free cable you've been getting for the last 30 years or whatever, the cable company could collect all that money back from you. Retroactive would be bad, right? I mean, that's already been paid for technically anyway through the whole system. Yeah, exactly. So the FCC, at least from that standpoint, said nothing's retroactive in this.
Good.
But another big thing is they wanted to say that each of the local channels you have is worth X dollar amount, okay? And nobody knows what the valuation of one channel may be.
What's the range?
I don't know, because but it could be thousands, it could be hundreds of thousands. It depends on, that's the problem. That's the reason they didn't deal with it this time, because it's so complicated. How do you figure out the value of a channel, right? So we have quite a few. We have a couple of public access channels. We have some city channels. We have this local origination channel, and they want to be able to charge and just say this channel is worth X, and we're going to deduct that from your franchise fees. In the past, and in our agreement, we agreed that these, and again, the cable company owns all the channels and the infrastructure of the channels themselves, but they are designated to us as part of this franchise agreement that we all signed off on. So this is kind of it is really an overreach by the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, and there are some attorneys out there that are going, and like the League of Cities and Counties, they're all going to fight this. Even though it's officially the law now, they're gonna try for an appeal, and whether that happens or not, I don't know. But we're on board to help to try to do it, because it's important. Because if you don't, if the FCC gets their way on this thing, and if you don't fight the issue, then they feel, oh, I guess they don't care. So now let's, like give an inch, take a mile. You've heard that term. Well, we got them on this thing, so now let's try this thing, because there is an FCC commissioner, his last name's O'Reilly, who has interest in revisiting the channel issue. And the bottom line for a lot of systems is if they start charging for the channels, the value of those of the channel itself, depending on what it is, well, that could put a lot of community TV centers out of business.
Yeah,
But
I see other community television channels that are very dependent upon what little they get now.
Right. So yeah, so funding is a big big issue, and like I said, the cord cutting has nothing to do with the FCC. That's more of a, like I said, an industry, what's happening with technology and all that. But so there is some good news in this, but there's also some bad news, and there could be really good news if somehow we can have a successful appeal on this.
Well, I saw in Consumer Reports, good news, your cable TV service wants you back.
Well, I hope so, because I don't know, to be honest with you, I often wonder if cable companies are indifferent on all this from a standpoint of, everybody needs internet access, right? I mean, and actually, I'm going to say hats off to Comcast here they have something called the Internet Essentials Program, which helps low-income families, and like any family that has kids on the free or reduced lunch program, they can get reduced internet service for almost like $10 a month. But you have to prove, you're on, that you're on these programs, and then you can get internet service. Because the name of the program is called Internet Essentials, right? Because internet is essential. It's like the old telephone line. Most people need a telephone line in their house.
Essential for any school kid.
Any school kid. Yeah, certainly people use internet for entertainment and all that, but I think it's critical these days for any school. That's why you see our libraries filled with people, they're on computer systems now doing research and that type of thing. So anyway, so that's where things sit. I'm just saying that there is an appeal process that's going to be happening, and we don't know how that'll turn out. But I'm just telling you that if we don't try on this, it sends the wrong message to the FCC. Like, these guys just don't care. So. But with that said, I need to say something about, and the channels and things. And that's why, many years ago we said we also got to do some things on the internet. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the program. But with all these things coming from all different directions, whether it's cord cutting, FCC issues, we said, you know what? And we decided in 2017, we got budgeted in late 2018 to have a strategic plan. And I know you wanted to ask about the strategic plan.
Well, you just
What a good
completed.
segue, right?
Yes.
What a good segue.
This plan sounds very important. So what do we need to know about it in order to support it?
Well, back in November of 2018, Bill, we started a process where we basically, we went through a bidding process to get us like a consultant to work with us on a strategic plan. Basically, the purpose of the plan is to provide a roadmap for our organization, CCX Media, for long-term sustainability. Okay, when we talk about sustainability too, we're talking about financial sustainability as well. I mean, life is, we've been funded very well through franchise fees up to this point, but we want to get ahead of the game, and as revenue starts to go down, we want to look at ways of making revenue. Similar to any nonprofit organization, we have to look at ways of bringing in revenue to be self-sustaining. We've had a nonprofit organization running here since the very beginning, the early 80s. But we haven't had to do a lot of fundraising. We haven't had to do a lot of things to bring in revenue. That's all changing now, where we need to do all kinds of things. So basically in this process, there were many conference calls conducted. There were self-board, like the board had some surveys that were put together. This organization did surveys of the board, they did surveys of the staff, they did surveys of the community. We looked at the mission statement to see if we should make some changes to that, and the vision statement. We reviewed the budget and all the different services there are. Conducted 2 community stakeholder meetings and out in the community, and that was very enlightening and interesting. Basically just asking for their general input, like what do you think this organization should be in the future? How should we serve the northwest suburbs? And more importantly, are there things you can do to be self-sustaining and make money as well? So that's kind of like the 30,000 foot view. We did make some minor changes on our mission and vision statement, mainly to change. We've rebranded to CCX Media versus Northwest Community Television, and so we're within our mission statement. We're starting to remove Northwest Community Television and just stick with CCX Media.
But some people need to know what CCX stands for.
Stands for Connected Community Experience. So we're all about making connections here. That's what we do. We make connections in the communities, but we tell stories. We're storytellers here. Yeah. We tell, the bottom line, Bill, is we tell literally thousands of stories, and these are stories that would be untold if we didn't tell them. Yeah. And they're good, local, compelling stories. The problem these days is as you get the media, and we've talked in the past about media consolidation and all that, and the local broadcast stations they'll admit they don't have the time to go out to every city and do stories. I mean, yeah, they'll be out here if there's a big story, if there's something negative, if there's a shooting or a big fire, you're going to see the broadcast stations out here. And on occasion they'll do some other stories, but for the most part, they're non-existent. And our original founders, Ray Stockman and he was one of the groups, and then Jack Irving, they often said that, I know I've said this a million times, but they say, we have a story to tell and no one's telling it in terms of our area. And that's what we've been doing since the early 1980s.
And I've had local candidates on this program.
Right.
And
that wouldn't be on otherwise, right?
Yeah. The public needs a chance to get acquainted with these people in a conversation.
And that's the whole thing with, we've been doing city council coverage. We do all the city council coverage for 9 cities here. Yeah. And it's all about transparency too, right? You have to be transparent to the public. And so we have a whole department that covers city council meetings from gavel to gavel coverage. But with this, and I've said this in previous shows, you don't have to sit and watch the whole meeting, right? We have a system set up through special softwares. If you only want to see a certain item on the agenda, you can go online, press a button, say, I just want to watch the item where Bill Weir is talking about the great advantages of community TV. Let's watch that segment.
In
Click,
fact,
and that's it comes up.
Let's go to that question.
Yeah.
This organization is really a national leader, I understand, when it comes to using all the advantages of the cable, the internet, the social media, the email. There are lots of, and a lot more. What are the advantages?
There's some major advantages. Well, first and foremost, I consider this like a value-added service to anybody who has cable, right? So we don't really operate on demand on the cable system. It's basically where we're just pumping out a signal that people can watch and tune in at any time. But we live in an on-demand world where people want things instantly. You know,
my
they
mind,
wanted it yesterday, kind of a thing.
That's a high demand, in my
Right,
opinion.
right. And so we are now, we're taping this program in October of 2019. I'm not sure when this will be seen, but we're averaging now, and this number is going to go up from whatever number, it's not whatever number, but the number I'm about to give you, it'll be higher. But we're averaging right now 600,000 views a month. That's just online. This is local, hyper-local content.
Yeah.
This doesn't include any of the views on a channel themselves, because we don't know, we don't have data. We're not Nielsen rated or anything like that, so we don't know what the data is in terms of viewership of channels. We don't have it, we don't get it. So
And it's too expensive
right.
to get.
But if somebody ever says to you, Bill, well, nobody watches community television, I'm here to tell you
False.
that's not true. And if we can build an audience like that, and now with the advantage of like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, we have the power to share the content instantly. Like you asked me at the end of the show, do you want a DVD? Well, maybe you want a DVD, maybe you just send me the link of the show, right? I can send that link all over the world versus putting a DVD in an envelope and mailing it. So there's the power of sharing things is where things are at, and being able to see it in this on-demand world. Every Monday, we send out something through what we call Gov Delivery, which is basically an email marketing program similar to Constant Contact, or you think of like the free program called MailChimp. Similar deal, but we're sending out links to well over 3,000 or 4,000 people that are on this list. It's all free. And what we do is we aggregate content for people. So if you live in the city of Plymouth and you just want to see Plymouth information, we will send that to your inbox on Monday and say, here are all the great stories we did in the past week in your city. You don't have to sit down and get a TV guide and say, I think I'm going to watch this program at this time. We've just made it simple for you, Bill, on a Monday morning, you know, because everybody's busy, right? You're busy taping a show right now. You might be missing a show that's airing on the channel. So, but we would send this link, or we would send this email with a whole bunch of stories there, and you click on what you want to watch. I mean, it's simply, we're trying to make it as simple as possible.
How do people subscribe?
Well, they can sign up. It's right on our site. You can sign up to get emails at ccxmedia.org. You can sign up that way.
So you get on the computer.
Right, and then sign up for the emails to come to your inbox. And the good news is you pick and choose what you want. So if you just want sports from the Wayzata School District, well, we'll just send you sports. If you want sports and school information and general news about the city, we'll send you that. There's many different categories that people can choose. And that's the way things are. I mean, people want things, you know, on their schedule. And so we want to make it easy there. We've also set up things with every single city. If you go to any city that we cover, there is a CCX Media logo, not just regularly, but it literally down by, say, the Facebook links for the city, the Twitter, Instagram. You will see a CCX Media branded link. If you press it on, you're going to receive all the content about your city. I use Plymouth as an example. Again, if you're in the city of Plymouth or city of Maple Grove, any city, you click on that little link, all the stories, anything we did within that city will be available for you to watch. And it's one click. So it's making it simple for people to watch on their schedule.
That sure is a valuable service.
Yes. So we have to be there. We actually have a person now dedicated towards the whole social media side, and his name is Steve. And Steve is he's very good at analytics. He's very good at Google, you know, Google information, Facebook, and we need to be in that space because that's where people are seeing content. You get something on Facebook, and then, you know, let's just say it goes to your Facebook page, and you share it with 2 people, and then they share it with 2 people. All of a sudden, you've got content that people want to watch. And we talk about it as content, not so much television programming. That's why we rebranded too, Bill. We rebranded because we're more of a media organization. I don't want to say television is outdated, but we want to be everywhere, and we are becoming. I mean, people can see us on Apple TV. Again, that's what's called over the top. You need a internet connection for that, either through Comcast or CenturyLink or some other provider. But so for the people in the northwest suburbs who may not have cable, but may have Comcast cables or Comcast internet service only, they can still see our programming either via the internet or on Roku, if they have a Roku box or built-in Roku software or Apple TV software, they can see our content.
Great.
So there's lots of options out there.
But now there are less than 4 minutes left. Are there any other things you'd like to share?
Well, the main thing I want to share, and again, it's really back to the whole strategic plan, is we need to build, I mean, we've got 4 goals. One is to build long-term financial stability. That's one goal. The second goal is expand our CCX Media brand recognition. We discovered that when we went from the Northwest Community Television name to CCX Media, that brand name, because we had a 25, 30 year, well, over a 30-year history, over a 30-year history with the Northwest Community Television name. So it's going to take a while for the CCX Media brand name to get out there. And so we have to just keep knowing that not everybody understands what that means or what we do. So we're going to work on that. And then the other thing is provide media services and content that meets the communities that we serve. I mean, we've been working on that all along, but we want to make sure that we're constantly in touch with the communities and say, hey, what do you want us to do? And last but not least is continue to build and maintain a strong, well-managed organization. So things, quite frankly,
you're doing that, aren't you?
Well, we're doing that right now. But we're going to have to look at what's the best way. How do we do this? Will people have to change certain things within their positions to help us, on the money-making side of things? Because if we don't make the money in a world where we're losing money, well, that becomes a problem, right? So so what we need to do is figure out ways, and there are so many options out there. This is the exciting part. I know we only have just about 2 minutes left. But the exciting part is there's a lot of potential for us to do services for hire, to do video production services for folks, to do some videos for, think about all the websites with businesses and organizations, nonprofit groups that we can do little video pieces for. Think about renting out the facility if somebody wants to make a film production or shoot a commercial here, they can do that. We can rent out our facility. We've already experimented with doing services for hire for some businesses here in the northwest suburbs and a school district. And we also are experimenting with a sponsorship with a local restaurant in Maple Grove. They're sponsoring our Play of the Week segment for sports. So all these things are really, great opportunities for us. And on top of that, we're also experimenting with getting revenue from all of our YouTube clips. We have over 20,000 clips on YouTube of some hyper-local content, and we're being compensated for that.
Do we need another half hour?
No, we're good. We're good. I like this. You know me, Bill. I like to, because I'd rather be back. If I do a half hour, then that delays the time of me getting that jacket. I'd rather do a 4th and 5th show so I can get the official Freethinking Forum jacket. Okay. I'll come back anytime. I'm just right up the hallway.
I want to thank some people.
Okay. Oh yeah, we want to thank our crew. We've got Scott Burdett as director. We've got, and Scott's a volunteer. We've got Javier Cedillo, who's working on this program, as well as Dustin Cooper. We've got the rock star team. We call it BCC Productions. They're doing a great job. They're rolling. I don't even know if we're on anymore. We could be off, but we got some things going here. We got copyright and everything. So thank you very much.
Thank you.